डोली चढ़ दिया मारिया.
How does one single voice achieve a cultural dominance so absolute, so total, that it defines the auditory landscape of, what, over 1 billion people? And for more than 70 years.
It's an astonishing question, isn't it? I mean, think about it. In a place like India, just bursting with linguistic diversity, musical traditions, thousands of dialects, countless classical schools.
Yeah, incredible variety.
Exactly. And yet the sound of popular romance, of grief, of devotion, for most people, it was channeled through this one single voice. There's really no parallel figure anywhere in global music history.
Yeah.
Nobody had that kind of monopoly over a national soundtrack.
And that voice belongs, of course, to the legendary Lata Mangeshkar.
डोली चढ़ दिया मारिया हीर जी का. मैनू ले चले बाबला ले चले.
Incredibly rigorous classical training, yeah, but also profound personal tragedy. And almost unbelievably, a voice that people initially dismissed. They said it was too thin.
Too thin. It's hard to imagine now.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Satosha.
And I'm Satoshi. So today we're going to unpack how her individual genius sort of perfectly clicked with this unique, centralized, star-making machine of Bollywood that really doesn't exist anywhere else on Earth.
Right. Our mission here is to deconstruct that unparalleled rise. We're looking at sort of 3 main pillars.
Yeah.
The artist herself, her technical genius, specific dynamics of the Bollywood ecosystem, how it worked, and then the bigger picture, the structural context that makes the South Asian film industry so different from, say, Hollywood.
And understanding this doesn't just explain her success, it tells us a lot about modern Indian popular culture itself.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's dive right in.
हमको मिली है आज घड़ियां नसीब से. हमको मिली है आज घड़ियां नसीब से. जी भर के देख लीजिए हमको करीब से. फिर आपके नसीब में ये बात हो न हो. शायद फिर इस जन्म में मुलाकात हो न हो.
She was born Hema Mangeshkar in 1929. She took the name Lata later. Her father was himself a renowned classical singer and theater actor.
So music was just everywhere in the house.
Pretty much. It was a nurturing ground, as one source put it, steeped in musicology, and crucially, he was a disciple of the Gwalior Gharana.
Okay, the Gharana system. Remind us what that means exactly. It's like a school of music.
Yeah, essentially. It's a lineage, a specific style of teaching and performing classical music. And the Gwalior Gharana is one of the oldest, most revered schools in Hindustani classical music.
And what's its signature style? What would she have learned there?
It's known primarily for 2 things: melodic simplicity and this real purity of tone. A very clear, linear, almost unadorned approach. Her formal training started when she was just 5.
5 years old.
Incredible, isn't it? So she got this deep, intuitive understanding of raga, the melodic framework, until the rhythmic cycle. It wasn't just learning notes. It was like internalizing the very DNA of South Asian music from childhood.
So that gave her the structure, the architecture. But something else happened, a tragedy, that really shaped her work ethic, maybe even her voice.
Yes. The sources really point to her father's death in 1942 as this defining moment, a real crucible. She was only 13 when he passed away,
13, and the eldest?
the eldest of 5 children. And suddenly, overnight, she was the family's sole breadwinner. The financial pressure must have been immense. It basically just stripped away her childhood, pushed her straight into a professional career, whether she was ready or not.
It turned her talent from a passion into an absolute necessity, right?
Yeah, exactly. It instilled this formidable work ethic, a sense of discipline that was almost military in its rigidity. She carried that intensity throughout her entire 7-decade career. She couldn't afford a bad take, you know. Her family depended on every single note.
That desperation, I suppose, it breeds a kind of perfectionism.
Immaculate professionalism, absolutely. A discipline few artists ever reach. Then later, in 1945, the family moved to Mumbai. And she continued her training, but interestingly, with a completely different school.
Oh. Who was that with?
She started taking lessons from Ustad Aman Ali Khan of the Bendi Bazaar Gharana.
Bendi Bazaar. How did that differ from Gwalior?
It's almost the polar opposite. While Gwalior prized simplicity, the Bendi Bazaar school is renowned for its really intricate techniques, meticulous breath control, and these complex, almost dizzying vocal ornaments.
Ah, so those little fast flourishes and runs you hear.
Precisely. Those are the murkis, the subtle, quick vocal turns, and the harkets, those fluid, rapid shifts between notes. That's where her incredible versatility was truly forged.
So she wasn't just Gwalior or just Bendi Bazaar, she became a hybrid.
Exactly. She blended the clarity and clean lines of Gwalior, perfect for, say, light romantic songs or devotional pieces, with the complex firepower of Bendi Bazaar, which was ideal for those heavier, classical-based film compositions.
Giving her this huge artistic toolkit.
An amazing toolkit. It meant she could handle basically anything the film industry threw at her, from the simplest lullaby to the most intricate thumri or ghazal, and she mastered them all. This fusion was key to her ability to serve every genre.
Okay, so she builds this incredibly versatile vocal instrument, but getting into the Hindi film industry wasn't straightforward, was it? The sources talk about quite a bit of resistance initially.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Her voice was seen as a radical departure from the established sound of the time.
What was the established sound then? Who are the big names?
Well, you had what we now call the old guard. Singers like Noorjahan, Suraya, Shamshad Begum. Their style was very different, heavy, full-throated, often quite nasal in its projection.
And that wasn't just a stylistic choice, it was necessary.
It was, really. You have to remember the recording technology back then. Microphones were pretty rudimentary, and that singing style came directly from the Parsi theater tradition, where you had to project your voice unamplified over an orchestra to fill a huge hall.
So volume and vocal heft were key.
They were priorities.
Mhm.
And then Lata Mangeshkar comes along, offering something completely different, which led to that famous incident with producer Sashara Mukherjee.
The one who dismissed her voice as too thin.
Exactly. And that comment, it really highlights this crucial turning point. Mukherjee was judging the sound of the future by the standards of the past. What he called thinness was actually this incredible purity, clarity, subtlety, precise control that the new technology, the microphone, could finally capture.
So in a way, her voice was just waiting for the technology to catch up.
That's a perfect way to put it. As recording tech improved, moving away from stage projection towards sensitive, intimate microphone capture, that older, heavier style started to sound dated.
And her voice?
Her voice, pristine, subtle, incredibly accurate, was perfectly suited for the close mic technique, the kind needed for the cinematic close-up. Her sound felt modern, intimate. It helped usher in a whole new era of cinematic sound.
Luckily, someone recognized this shift early on. Music director Ghulam Haider. The sources call him her godfather.
Haider had this almost prophetic vision, didn't he? He understood where film music was going. When Mukherjee rejected her, Haider wasn't just disappointed, he was apparently furious.
And that's when he made that famous prediction.
A legendary prophecy, yeah. He told Mukherjee that one day, producers and directors would fall at Lata's feet and literally beg her to sing in their films. That kind of conviction, it's rare.
And he backed it up. He championed her. Gave her a song in 1948 from the film Majboor that really cut through that resistance.
It was the breakthrough, the song that proved him right and made the industry sit up and listen.
Now let's really get into the weeds. The musicological analysis. What made her instrument technically so perfect?
We hear descriptions like divine, pristine, soulful, but what was the actual engineering behind that sound? What were the components?
Okay, well, let's start with timbre. Her vocal tone. It was instantly recognizable, wasn't it? And it had this consistently high-pitched, almost eternally youthful quality. Very adaptable.
Yeah, she could sound convincing singing for actresses decades younger than her.
Exactly. And there's a great observation from music critic T.M. Krishna. He noted that while her voice inevitably aged physically, developed a slight fragility later on, her musical expression somehow stayed perpetually young. It always had this vibrant bloom, as he put it. Even in her 70s, she performed with the energy of someone decades younger.
Incredible. And if the timbre was the beautiful surface, What was the engine underneath? Pitch perfection seems key.
Absolutely fundamental. Her ability to hit and sustain the notes with absolute unwavering accuracy. That was probably her single most defining skill. It was so flawless that musicians literally used her pitch as the yardstick.
The benchmark for whether the note was right.
Pretty much. Composers just didn't have to worry. You knew Lata Mangeshkar would not be flat or sharp, ever.
And the sources emphasized this wasn't just one of her skills, it was the quality that set her apart. Even from other legends.
Correct. Even massively revered contemporaries. We're talking Muhammad Rafi, her own incredibly versatile sister.
And that reliability gave them freedom.
Huge freedom. That flawless accuracy meant music directors could focus entirely on the orchestration, the arrangement, knowing the core melody was safe in her hands.
Speaking of freedom, let's talk range. The sources use terms like superhuman 3 full octaves. How did that impact composers?
Oh, it was a complete game changer. It just blew previous limitations away. Before her, melodies were often constrained by what the singers could physically manage, range-wise.
Right.
But Lata could navigate from low notes to incredibly high notes seamlessly, no break, no weak falsetto. So composers felt liberated. They could write much more ambitious melodies. They wrote that knowing full well that perhaps only she could execute those sustained high notes with perfect pitch and the right emotion.
So her technical ability actually pushed the music itself to become more sophisticated.
It was a direct catalyst, absolutely. It made the Golden Age music more ambitious, more complex structurally.
Okay. Technique is one thing, but conveying emotion is another.
Yeah.
How did she master the storytelling aspect?
It was a combination, really. Dedication and this innate mastery. First off, her diction, it became amazing, but apparently it wasn't always perfect.
Oh, really?
Early on, the famous actor Dilip Kumar gently critiqued her Urdu pronunciation, which had a slight Marathi inflection, Urdu being essential for ghazals and that kind of sophisticated film poetry.
And how did she react?
She took it incredibly seriously, hired tutors, worked diligently on her Urdu. She wanted every nuance of the poetry to shine through flawlessly. That shows incredible dedication, doesn't it? Beyond just hitting the notes.
It really does. But the emotional peak was her command over the navrasa.
Yes, the navrasa, the 9 core emotions in Indian aesthetics. Love, humor, sorrow, anger, courage, fear, disgust, wonder, peace. She didn't just sing the melody, she inhabited the emotion of the scene. She could convey the entire spectrum.
How does a singer do that? Convey something complex like, say, sorrow mixed with a bit of anger, just through tone.
Through meticulous control, tiny shifts in tonality. For Karuna, sorrow, she might drop the volume slightly, introduce a delicate fragility, almost like she's holding back tears. For Radra, anger, or Veera, courage, she'd maintain that pitch clarity but add this sharp, focused intensity to the attack of the note. Control without sacrificing pitch. Her voice became an active part of the narrative.
Sometimes more expressive than the actor on screen.
That's the argument. Which leads to that fascinating idea mentioned in the sources, the inversion, where the actor became Lata's expressive moving picture.
Explain that a bit more. It sounds quite radical.
It is. Normally, visuals drive the story, the voice supports. But in those high-emotion Bollywood moments, her disembodied voice often became the primary channel for the emotion. The audience felt it through her singing first.
And the actress's expression was just confirming it.
Exactly. The tear rolling down the cheek, the glance. It was like visual confirmation of the powerful emotion you were already getting directly from Latu's voice. The emotional core shifted from the face to the voice.
Wow. And all this relied on mastering 2 contrasting classical skills that rarely go together.
The famous duality, Thaharav and Firat. Thaharav is about perfect stillness, sustaining the long note with absolute stability, purity, essential for those slow, meditative, heart-wrenching ballads. Firat is the complete opposite. It's extreme vocal flexibility, moving rapidly, almost dazzlingly fast through complex melodic runs, those intricate tansons and murkas, essential for faster, more classical-based numbers.
Mastering one is hard enough.
Exactly. Mastering both gave her unmatched adaptability. She could go from a slow devotional song to a virtuosic classical display in the same film, no problem.
And finally, there's a practical economic side to this perfection.
Ah, yes, the business advantage. This is a great anecdote. Back in the Golden Age, recording sessions were expensive. Big orchestra, dozens of musicians, all recording live with the singer.
Mistakes cost a lot of money.
A fortune, stopping the whole orchestra, wasting precious studio time. But because Lata was so technically flawless, she could nail perfect takes incredibly quickly, often in a single attempt.
So the studio saying was true.
Though Ladita was the most expensive singer, she made the recordings cheaper because she saved them huge amounts of time and avoided those costly retakes. Her perfection was literally good business.
Okay, so we've got the individual genius, the technical marvel. Now let's place her inside the Bollywood machine. Her dominance wouldn't have been possible without the rise of the playback system, right?
Absolutely not. Playback singing, where the actor lip syncs to a professional singer's pre-recorded track that really started around 1935, it was the tech innovation that defined Bollywood.
And it allowed for specialization.
Completely. Actors could act, singers could focus purely on vocal perfection, and it cemented the song and dance sequence as that identifiable marker, the absolute signature of Indian cinema.
But the playback singer wasn't instantly a star. It took a specific moment, a song of hers from 1949, to really elevate the singer's status.
That's right. The film was Mahal, and the song, well, let's just say it was a phenomenon, became a massive nationwide hit.
And back then, singers weren't always credited prominently.
Often not credited at all or just buried in the credits. But this song was so haunting, so incredibly popular, that radio stations, record shops, they were just flooded with people asking, who is singing that song? They demanded to know the name.
So the audience basically forced the industry's hand.
Pretty much. That moment single-handedly lifted the playback singer from being just a technician, a contributor, to being a celebrated, marketable artist. The audience created the star. We absolutely have to hear a piece of this game-changing song.
Let's play it.
आएगा 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 आने वाला आएगा 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 दीपक बगैर कैसे परवान जल रहे हैं दीपक बगैर कैसे परवान जल रहे हैं कोई नहीं चलाता और तीर चल रहे हैं कोई नहीं चलाता और तीर चल रहे हैं तड़पेगा कोई कबूतर बेआस बेसहारे तड़पेगा कोई कबूतर बेआस बेसहारे लेकिन ये कह रहे हैं दिल के मेरे इशारे आएगा 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 आने वाला आएगा आएगा आएगा
You can just feel the atmosphere in that, can't you?
Definitely. And once that star was born, her voice quickly became associated, almost typecast, with a specific role. The ideal heroine.
Her sound, that pure, high-pitched tone, just became synonymous with youth, innocence, virtue on screen. If you were casting the main female lead, the idealized heroine Narji's Madhubala Wahida Rahman, you simply had to have Lata Mangeshkar's voice for her. It established a clear sonic hierarchy.
Which sometimes led to a division of labor, even within her own family.
Yes, exactly. Because her voice became reserved for the virtuous lead expressing true love. The more upbeat, maybe westernized, jazzy, or cabaret-style numbers often went to her sister, or sometimes Geeta Dutt.
So Lata's voice signified purity, while others handled different moods or character types.
That specialization helped cement Lata's image as the voice of moral purity, the ultimate heroine's voice. It became so ingrained that, according to some sources, leading actresses started putting clauses in their contracts.
Demanding her specifically.
Mandating her as their exclusive playback singer. It shows her incredible commercial clout. If an actress knew her film's success depended on hit songs, and hit songs meant Lata, locking her in was crucial. It cemented that link between her voice and screen femininity for decades.
But she wasn't just passively benefiting from this system. She actively fought to improve conditions for singers, didn't she? She was a real advocate.
Oh, absolutely. She led some crucial battles. She was pivotal in getting the industry to finally recognize singers and lyricists properly, pushing for dedicated award categories at the Filmfare Awards back in 1959.
And the big one, the fight over royalties, that was huge.
Landmark. and highly contentious. For years, singers got a flat fee per song. That was it. Didn't matter if the song became a gigantic hit, sold millions of records. They saw nothing more. Lata argued singers deserved ongoing royalties, a share in the song's long-term success.
Taking a stand for creative ownership.
Exactly, and that fight famously caused a major prolonged rift with Mohammed Rafi. He felt the initial fee was enough, that the rights belonged to the producer after payment.
A fundamental disagreement.
A huge one. But Lata's stance, though controversial then, was really forward-thinking. Her efforts were critical in eventually improving the professional standing and financial security for all playback singers who came after her. She wasn't just a voice, she was wielding real industrial power.
And ultimately, the whole structure of Bollywood just reinforced her position.
That's the key takeaway on the ecosystem. Because almost all popular music reached the public through films, the system naturally funneled the best composers, the best lyricists, the biggest projects, straight to the #1 voice. Once she hit the top, the system kept her there. Stardom in music meant stardom in playback singing, and for decades, that road essentially led through Lata Mangeshkar.
Okay, let's zoom out now to the bigger picture. Why could one singer dominate like this in India when you just don't see anything comparable in the West? The sources draw this really interesting contrast between the two models.
It's a fundamental difference in how the film industry's evolved. Take Hollywood. By the time synchronized sound arrived in the late 1920s, the American film industry was already pretty mature, structurally stable. Sound was essentially an add-on to an existing visual language.
And crucially, America already had a massive independent music industry, right?
Exactly. You had powerful radio networks, Tin Pan Alley publishers, huge record labels, all creating global music stars like Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, later Elvis, completely outside the movie system. Hollywood was just one outlet for them, often a lucrative one, but it wasn't their only path to fame.
But in India, the story was totally different.
Completely. Indian cinema basically grew up with sound. Alamara in 1931, the first talkie. Music wasn't an addition, it was woven into the fabric from the start. Songs weren't just entertainment, they were essential narrative tools, used to express inner thoughts, emotions. Stuff visuals alone couldn't easily convey back then.
So if music was integral, and there wasn't a separate music industry creating stars, how did you become a music star?
There was no viable parallel industry capable of creating stars on the scale of Lata Mangeshkar independently. Popular music stardom was almost entirely mediated through film songs. The film industry didn't just use popular music. For a long time, it was the popular music industry.
So this integration meant that if you became the voice of cinema,
You became the voice of the entire popular culture. This structural difference explains why no single singer could possibly dominate Hollywood's voice for 50 years. But Lata Mangeshkar could, voicing hundreds of actresses across generations in India. The integrated system allowed for, even encouraged, that kind of near monopoly.
and this structure also served a vital purpose beyond just making stars.
Yes, a crucial cultural and commercial strategy. India is incredibly diverse linguistically, but the Hindi film song became the single most powerful all-India marketing tool. It could cross linguistic barriers like nothing else.
Because even if you didn't understand the Hindi dialogue in a Mumbai film, you could connect with the melody, hum the tune, feel the emotion.
Precisely. And her voice, recording eventually in over 36 languages, became this incredible pan-Indian emotional connection. A film made in Hindi in Mumbai could instantly resonate with audiences in Kolkata, Chennai, even Lahore, partly because her voice on the soundtrack provided that familiar, universal link. The song was the ultimate cultural bridge builder.
And that leads to the visual album idea. Bollywood was doing that way before the West.
Decades before. We talk about visual albums now as a modern concept, but Hindi cinema perfected it long ago. Those elaborate choreographed song sequences, the song picturizations, they aren't just tacked on. They function as built-in music videos. The film is the visual album.
So the audience experiences the song differently from the start.
Fundamentally differently. In the West, music videos largely developed later, like with MTV in '81, as separate promotional tools for songs released by record labels. In Bollywood, the song is conceived visually as part of the narrative from day one. This inherent visual context just further cemented the iconic status of the voice delivering those songs.
Okay, so we've seen the artist, the ecosystem, the structure, but maybe the ultimate proof of her genius is in her collaborations. She wasn't just a singer with one style. She was like this incredibly high-performance instrument that adapted perfectly to the vision of so many different legendary music directors.
Her adaptability was phenomenal.
Yeah.
She didn't force her style onto their music. She became the perfect vehicle for their style, often pushing them to be even more ambitious because they knew she could handle it.
Let's talk about some of those key collaborations. Naushad Ali, the classicist.
Right. Naushad was known for masterfully weaving classical music traditions into mainstream film scores. He was rigorous, apparently coached her extensively on Urdu diction for those sophisticated compositions.
And their work together.
Films like Bayubara, Mughal-e-Azam, they really set the standard. They showed how deeply classical music could enrich popular cinema without alienating the audience. It was a benchmark integration.
Then completely different. S.D. Burman, more of a folk master.
Yeah, S.E. Burman had this wonderful, earthy, often Bengali folk-infused sensibility. Their relationship seems to have been one of really deep mutual respect. He famously said, "Give me Lata and a harmonium, and I can make music."
I pray.
The highest. Their work together, like the entire soundtrack for Guide, is just sublime. His unique melodies and rhythms, combined with her soaring, almost ethereal voice, is magical. We should definitely hear a bit from Guide.
Absolutely. Here's a clip.
हा 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 आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है आज फिर मरने का इरादा है आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है आज फिर मरने का इरादा है मैं हूँ वो बार या तूफान हूँ कोई बताए मैं कहाँ हूँ मैं हूँ वो बार या तूफान हूँ कोई बताए मैं कहाँ हूँ डर है सफर में कहीं खो ना जाऊँ रास्ता नया आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है आज फिर मरने का इरादा है आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है आज फिर मरने का इरादा है कल के अंधेरों से निकल के देखा है आंखें मलते मलते कल के अंधेरों से निकल के देखा है आंखें मलते मलते फूल ही फूल जिंदगी बहार है तय कर लिया आज फिर जीने की तमन्ना है आज फिर मरने का इरादा है
Just beautiful. Now, moving to the composer, she herself called the Ghazal ka Shahzada, the Prince of Ghazals, Madonna Khan. Theirs was maybe the most emotionally intense partnership.
Many would say so. It felt like a unique emotional connection. Madan Mahan seemed to save his most intricate, most delicate, most heart-wrenching compositions specifically for her. He knew she had the technical chops for complex ghazals, but could also deliver that deep, poignant feeling.
She apparently found his songs quite difficult.
She admitted they were often the most challenging, technically. But the results just transcend it. Let's listen to one of their most beloved collaborations.
हमको मिली है आज ये घड़ियाँ नसीब से जी भर के देख लीजिए हमको करीब से फिर आपके नसीब में ये बात हो न हो शायद फिर इस जन्म में मुलाकात हो न हो लग जा गले
Amazing. Okay, next up. The Hitmakers.
Mm-hmm.
The commercial kings of the 50s and 60s, Shankar Jaikishan.
Ugh, the masters of popular appeal. They composed a staggering number of songs for her, over 450. And as we mentioned earlier, they were the ones who really pushed her upper range. They absolutely relied on her ability to hit those incredibly high notes in their often very catchy romantic melodies. They defined the sound of popular Hindi film music for an era.
And finally, Arti Burman Pancham, often associated with a more modern sound.
Pancham was the sound of the new generation. But what's really telling is that even Pancham, the great innovator, reserved many of his most timeless, melodically profound, often classically grounded compositions for Lata.
So when he needed something with real depth.
Exactly. When the song demanded absolute classical control or immense emotional weight, think of songs in Amar Prem or Andi or Reina Beti Jaya, he turned to Lata. Her versatility was such that even the modernist trusted her implicitly with his most enduring melodies. Her presence guaranteed a certain gravitas, a timelessness.
So the big takeaway here is that her technical security and sheer adaptability weren't just about her own performance. They actively enabled and elevated the sophistication and ambition of the entire golden age of Hindi film music.
She didn't just sing the songs. She raised the bar for composition itself. So we've traced it all, the technically flawless artist, the unique power dynamics of the Bollywood ecosystem, and that crucial structural difference from the West. It's the synergy of all three that explains the phenomenon.
And the sheer scale of her output. That Guinness Book of World Records entry from 1974, citing the most recordings. Whether the final number was 25,000, 50,000, the exact figure almost doesn't matter.
Right, the number itself just symbolizes her cultural ubiquity. She wasn't just a voice on the soundtrack. For generations, she was the soundtrack of the collective South Asian experience.
And her legacy, ultimately, it transcends the person, the biography. It really rests solely on that voice, which she seemed to understand perfectly herself, didn't she, in that song from Kinara?
It's the perfect summation, really, immortalized in her own voice. The name will be lost, this face will change, my voice is my identity, if you remember. It's the ultimate truth of her life. The face changed, the times changed, technology changed, but the voice remains.
Eternal, unmistakable, the sound of the subcontinent.
मेरी आवाज़ ही पहचान है, गर याद रहे नाम गुम जाएगा, चेहरा ये बदल जाएगा, मेरी आवाज़ ही पहचान है, गर याद रहे वक्त के सिवा कम हंसी नहीं, आज है यहाँ कल कहीं नहीं, वक्त से बड़े अगर मिल गए कहीं, मेरी आवाज़ ही पहचान है, गर याद रहे
नाम गुम जाएगा, चेहरा ये बदल जाएगा, मेरी आवाज़ ही पहचान है, गर याद रहे।
And before we sign off from this deep dive, just a quick word to all of you listening. We've been absolutely blown away by the response to the show. Thank you so much. And a lot of you have asked about video.
Yes, many of you want video content to go along with these deep dives, and we're listening. We're actively looking at using the Mosaic AI video editor, that's mosaic.so. to make that happen.
Apparently, Mosaic makes it really easy. You just feed it the podcast link, and it can automatically generate things like blog rolls, visuals, tons of AI features to bring these discussions to life visually. We really, really want to do videos.
But here's the thing. We need a bit of help to get there. To access the funds needed to actually launch a video version, we need to reach 1,000 subscribers on our channel.
So if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, share this deep dive with anyone you think might enjoy it. Help us grow. Your subscription is genuinely the key that unlocks the possibility of video for us.
We really appreciate your support, and thank you for joining us for this exploration of the Nightingale of India.
Until next time.
डोली चढ़ दी